Hey guys, I'm going to show you a brief lesson tutorial using WeVideo, how you can take your 5-minute chunks of Screencastify videos and put them into WeVideo and kind of blend them together and make a little more polished lesson. You know, one of the limitations that you probably realize with Screencastify is that you only have 5-minute limitations. Well, most lessons take a lot longer than 5 minutes. All right, guys, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to go ahead and take your Screencastify video chunks and we're going to put them into WeVideo, and this is going to be more of a beginner's guide to putting together, a polished lesson for your classroom. Just a side note, I do use this every day. I do announcements for our school, so I'm going to put a link there in this video just to show you an example if you're curious what WeVideo can do. But we're going to keep this as basic as possible and kind of go from there. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm assuming you're already into your account. You're going to see a few different options here across the top for drop down. You've got dashboard, you've got the projects that you're working on, your media, so anything that you upload and import is going to go here. Export, so if you're going to share out your video, and then groups, which I'm not really too familiar with. I haven't even used that, but I'm sure that's to share videos with other teachers as well. But let's just keep this as basic as possible because I want you to be able to create a lesson for your class the easiest possible way. If you've never done video editing, don't feel like it's going to be too much. It's really, once you start to play around with it, it's not that bad. So there's going to be a few options. We want to be on our dashboard. You'll see video, you'll see recording. You can actually record. So if you didn't want to use Screencastify and kind of just pass on that, you can record right within WeVideo. The reason why I don't like doing that is because I can't really see the tabs as well. So I like to be able to use Screencastify and then import those videos and make the video right here in WeVideo. A few other options, but you can start totally from scratch, but I think starting with a template might be the best for you, especially if you're new to this. So let me show you what they have. They've got a bunch of different things, and in fact, I used the newscast template to start off until I got really comfortable with throwing that together. So that was really helpful for me to see what it would look like. For us, I think our best bet would be like a mini lesson. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a mini lesson, but because we can extend it as long as you want. It just depends on how many parts you're going to put together. So we're gonna go ahead and save this. You might want to give a title where you want to save it. I'm just going to put. Let me just start editing. It's going to go in remote learning lessons, so it might have you title it the first time. So see, it already has pre-made 3 sections for you. So it's got a section for where text is going to come in, and think of text. Again, these drop-down menus are going to kind of go with these sections that are pre-created. Instruction, this is going to be where your video is going to go. It could be your notes. You have a lot of flexibility. I don't want you to feel like these are the only sections you can use. In fact, right here above here, you can add as many as you want. You can add a new video or audio track, but we're just going to, like I said, keep this pretty simple and straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and play this and show you kind of what these look like when they come together. And you can see the sections kind of coming together, and then it'll move into the lesson, and then you've got your video that kind of comes in, and this is where your recordings would start to come in. So we're going to obviously use this, but we're going to take away a lot of these and create these and make them our own. All right, guys, let's jump right into it. And like I said, the easiest possible way for you to utilize this would probably to use this template or a template and just kind of edit and make it your own. So each of these sections that you see on here, very easy to edit. If you click on one and you'll see it highlighted, you'll know you're editing that particular one. You'll see kind of a menu bar come up where you can delete it, you can add effects, but you really only need to worry about the pencil. Just to change, you can go ahead and edit and change the title. You can change the color. There's a couple tabs here where you can change the palette. So I usually go with this section here, and I'm just going to change it to something else to show you. Let's say my lesson's in Google Draw. Let's say, oh, I don't really like this font. I hate April Fat Face or whatever. You can go ahead and change that to, they have a bunch of different ones. So find one you like, stick with it. You can change the color, palette here. You can even kind of make it opaque and change that. So if you want a little more clear, a bunch of different things you can do with that. Once you find what you like, change the size of the font as well. You have to click on manual though. Let's say you want to make that a little larger. But you can also just do this. If you click on this editing tool right here, you can grab the corners and move that around. So it's not like it has to be in a set spot. Save the changes and then it saves this. So now my intro should say Google Draw. And there you go. And I'm going to show you how they got the animation in there as well. So again, you can edit any of these pieces. They're already ready for you, but I'm going to show you actually from scratch. So I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff and just kind of go from there. All right, let's go ahead and show you how to kind of get rid of all of this. If you want to start from scratch, this is for you. If you want to just edit, I already showed you that. So you can just keep that and edit right over those. But this will make it a little easier to show you how you can customize it to kind of make it your own. So you can manually delete each section like I showed you before. Let's say I didn't want to delete that, by the way. There's a nice undo button right here. So it'll undo your last action. So if you ever lose anything, just keep that in mind. Don't freak out. An easier way to get rid of large sections is to kind of click, drag and hold, and then everything should be highlighted. You'll see it highlighted in green. And then just hit backspace and then you've got a clean slate. If you want to rename the sections, you can just double click on that. I'll put to match what's above here, text. That way I can kind of show you. And then what I'm saying when it matches up with these drop downs right here. So I'm going to kind of model that for you guys as well. This is going to be my media or video. Spell it correctly, that'd be great. And then music, well, that'll be my audio, so I'll just match it up. Audio. All right. And again, you can add as many sections as you, let's say you want to add another section, you can add it. Video, let's say I want to have video too, maybe I want video to overlap. You can add that and it just places it above. But really, for the simplicity, the nature of this, you really only need 3 sections to import your clips. Now, I want to kind of go over this. This I did talk about. This is your preview window. So anytime you play, this is going to be your little slider. So once you get recording, there's nothing there, so I can't move it yet. You'll be able to slide this to certain sections. I'm going to show you some of the other features as we kind of start to embed information and video here. But you'll see some drop downs. You import, record, narrate. Import so you can bring in your videos. So you can go from your social sites. You can go directly from your computer. I like to use import from the Google because Screencastify goes right into its own folder. And if you've used Screencastify before, you kind of already know this. If you don't, make sure you watch our other tutorial on Screencastify. That'll help you out a lot. So you just have to find, there we go. It's right here. Open that up. And I'm going to take a few clips that I use for a prior lesson. And notice you might want to get in this habit too. Screencastify has that 5-minute limit. So you want to start to kind of number those, in the order. So I'm going to upload, I'll just do maybe the first 3. So let's select all these, select it. And then what it's going to do, it's going to import those videos, and you'll see it start to import those. Usually it doesn't take too much time, especially if these are only 5-minute clips. And anytime you get lost, just make sure that these are just, you've got stock media, which we'll talk about. My media, this is where I'm uploading now. I've got my text, which we'll talk about here, and as we add our own. They've got a bunch of cool animations that you can kind of bring in and choose from and really customize that. Your audio for your music. And for my lessons, I like to definitely use music. I'll use it a lot louder in the beginning, and then I'll just kind of bring that volume down when the lesson is going on. So it's just kind of background audio. You got your transitions, and my go-to is usually just your your fade. So I'll show you how to easily use that, but there's a bunch of different ones that you can use there. And then backgrounds. All right, let's go ahead and get started. When I approach any kind of video, I usually start with some kind of an introduction, and I usually just use their tools to do that. You can obviously import your own video and picture clips, but I like to start with stock media sometimes when I don't really have my own material. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And this video is, I'm just going to really show the first part. It's a lesson I put together for the K2 students, actually probably the 1-2 students, on how to make a simple flyer with Google Sheets. So I want to keep it kind of playful and eye-catching. So I just typed in pop art to see what comes up, and I found something that would work for my intro. I just got to remember which one it is. I think it's this one. So once you find that one that you want to use, and of course you can preview these first over here. So let's hit play, and you can see over here, check it out. Oh, okay, this would be good because I can put my text right here to time that together. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one. And once you find one you like, it's as simple as just dragging it down and putting it in the slot that's titled media. This is a bit of a longer intro. I like to keep my intros probably 5 to 7 seconds usually, but they're the little kids, so I want this to kind of get their attention. Notice these speech bubbles come up, okay, and looks like they come up about right here. So I know I want to put some text in there, so I'm going to layer the text right above here and place it here, and so I kind of have it timed and go with the actual animation right here. So again, up here I want to look for text. Here it is. And when you click on this, there are a bunch of choices that you can use, and you can always preview these, bunch of different ones. Great for intros, and you can totally customize these here too. Color, font, everything's customizable. But for this, for the sake of what I'm using, I just need something that's going to come in and show up. So I'm going to go ahead and place this here. Go ahead and click play. Notice how it's nowhere close to that. Quite okay to do. Go into your editing tools, and we're going to move that. We're going to change the color. Let's just make it red so it shows up here. Save that for now. I want to make sure it just is timed with that bubble right now. I'm not worried about what it says yet. So notice how that speech bubble kind of lingers for a while. You can change the time of this, so I want this to kind of fade out with the speech bubble. Just kind of keep playing around with this to make sure it kind of looks pretty good. What I like to do as well on really all of my clips, I like to fade things in and out. It's my simple transition. There's a bunch of cool transitions, and you feel free to play around with those, but my go-to is fading in and out. So I like this intro. If I click on this will fade it in and out. If you go to edit settings, you'll see it goes to 1 second, but you can play around with those numbers as well. Go ahead and save that. So now when I press play at the beginning, you'll see it kind of fades in. I like to do that really with everything. It's my go-to, and it's a really simple way for transitions. So back to my title. I want to edit that. I'm going to change this to making a flyer. And again, you can change. Let's say I want something a little more chunky for looks. I can change the size. Just think of this as an image on an image. You can change the size just by grabbing the corners. Kind of center that. And let's go ahead and dismiss this. Save that change, and then let's kind of preview it. Let's see what it looks like. Looks pretty good. Again, I would probably move this around a bit, but it doesn't need to be perfect for the sake of this. There is a second part where the speech bubble pops up, so I'm going to show you a little shortcut. So let's say you want to add this same type of text in, you can do this on any section as well. You can just take this, hit Control C if you're on a Chromebook, and Control V, and it'll copy the whole section. And then I can kind of edit that as well, again to the pencil, but with Google Sheets. Again, resize it so it fits, center it, save that, and let's go ahead and see if I have that timed correctly. It's a little early, so I'll just cut. Again, you can just grab the corners, just make sure that all fits. Okay, looks pretty good. All right, next we want to, before I even start putting in the video clips, I want to add some music in here. And the reason I kind of want to show you this is because, you know, you can have the volume 100% for your intro, and it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to show you how you can bring the volume down and kind of at a lower level playing in the background when you're actually giving the lesson, if you choose to. So same spot, you want to go and look for stock media. You can of course import your own media as well. So if you have your own music on your computer, you can simply import as well. But for the sake of this, I am going to just use stock media again. House music, and you can literally type in anything. Again, stock media has videos, images, and audio. So I'm going to go to audio, and I'm going to preview anything that I've liked. You can kind of listen for it. All right, so I'm going to use that for this, and then simply drag it down. All right, let's go ahead and preview it and see how it plays with the video and the text. It's pretty good. Now I know that I'm going to want it to fade a bit in volume, and I know it's going to be here where I'm going to start to put my video clips. So again, take this slider bar, click on what you want to cut. Be careful because you don't want to cut the text or the media right now. We just want to cut the music. So right here, make sure it's highlighted, and then you find that spot. See the scissors here? Cut it, and it cuts it in two pieces. Now, a couple of things you want to do. I know I'm going to want this volume a lot lower when I actually put the video lesson pieces in. So I can click on this little icon, and it gives me the fade, but it also gives me the percent, how loud it's going to be. I like to probably, and you can play around with this, it depends on the actual recording. Some are a little bit louder than others. I usually kind of go down to about 15%, 20. Start with that. You can even take this, and you see this highlights, you can actually grab that. Actually, I want to have it fade, so I can click, let's fade for a second. You can see this, and then you can actually have this fade right to the 15%, so it's kind of a clean transition. Let's go put it right about there. That's close. So then when I play it, it'll start to fade, and then it'll still be in the background for our video clips. So let's start importing our video clips. To find those, which we did along a few videos ago, they're all in our media. Again, my media right here, and my uploaded clips should be right here. I think I have 5 or 6 different ones. So I'm going to show you a few of them so you can get used to this, and then I'll show you the completed product. So I want to actually highlight these in order. I'm going to do the first 3, part 1, 2, and 3. So you can just hold down on Shift, 1, 2, and 3. Oops, let's try that again. Control, not Shift, 1, 2, and 3. Then I'm going to drag that down, place it, and you should see them all stack in order next to each other. Now, I think I did about 7 or 8 parter, but like I said, I'm just going to show you the first 2 or 3 so you can get comfortable with it. All right, so now I have my video clips in there. Go ahead and play, and I'm going to see what it transitions like. Now, you see it. First and second. There's a few things that you'd want to change about this. One, there was a little bit of time before I actually started talking, and there was no transition. It just kind of pops in there. So I'm going to show you, and you actually might want to do this to make it a little easier for you to cut. This rate slider down here at the bottom, you can expand or you can minimize, zoom in, zoom out. You can kind of take a look at with more detail at some of your clips and find it easier. Because if you can put this all the way here, you can see everything, but it's hard for you to know exactly where you want to cut video or sound or even text. All right, let's go ahead and cut that intro a little bit. And again, you might want to open the slider bar up a little bit, increase the zooming in to find out that spot. So I'm going to play it. First and second. Notice I want to start about right there. So I'm going to clip and cut just a section. Now to do this, you got to be careful because sometimes you might not have anything selected and you'll cut up music or text. But in this case, I just want to cut the media. So I want to just take that a little bit off here. Scissors, and it gives me a little piece here. And I can either just kind of hover above it or, actually, let me show you. You should see 3 bars. Sometimes it's just too close. There we go. And you can delete it there, or you can simply just hit backspace on your keyboard. Move the whole piece over. I always go back a little bit to see how it transitions. First and second graders, notice I cut a little too much. Another thing you can do, just a little too much, I can kind of put it back on there, slide it over, and add a fraction of a second, and then preview it again. First and second graders, welcome to most likely. I think I missed it. Hey, first and second graders. Oh, that's pretty good. Now I still don't have a transition. Again, I'm going to show you the go-to that I always use, and it's a real simple way to add in a transition. But you can go to the drop-down menu, transitions, and there's a whole bunch. Like I said, you can play around with this. There's cross zoom, there's fade to black, there's a mosaic. Just have fun experimenting with those. Cross zoom, let's try that. So you can simply slide that down there, but notice with this, it'll cut up some of your work. So just be careful, be aware of that. Second graders, welcome to. That's one of the reasons why I don't really like using those. So I'm gonna click undo, and I'm gonna show you what I usually do just for quick transitions. Click on my piece, pencil. Got again some drop-down menu here, animation, and I like to click this. And again, it clicks, fades in and out. Save changes. And then let's preview it. See if we have a nice transition. Hey, first and second graders, welcome to nice and smooth transition. It also will fade it out. Okay, so when you get to the end of the clip, I've already told it to, let me kind of bring the slider back down so I can see the piece a little easier. I come to the end here and play. You'll notice that it will background, and just know that you can change fade out. Okay, but just know, let's say I had a part here and I decide, hey, I don't need this part, and I cut it, and then I delete this part. Well, guess what happens to that fade out? Is it there? Color is my background, and just know that you can change it. No, because of course you cut the fade out. So to get those back, anytime you cut, you can go back, click on animation again, and just click this off and back on. And to make sure you have a fade out, you always want to see like 1 second. Again, you can play around with those numbers as well. 1 second usually suffices though. All right, now that we have our first video clip, video from Screencastify already edited, it becomes quite easy. You've just, continue to stack those clips that you have for your lesson, and just really, I mean, you might have to cut a little bit at the beginning of the end, but you might have already done that within Screencastify, which again, watch a tutorial for that. And it's real simple. You just really need to add in the transitions, like I said. So again, let's go to the end of the first Screencastify part. So you got to fade out, and again, you just kind of you'll get into a groove. I need to go in here. I need to go to my animation. Again, this is my go-to. Of course, you can add different transitions in there just to make sure that you remember that sometimes when you put those in, it will cut some of your videos. So just be aware of that. Let's go ahead and see the transitions together. Looks pretty good.
Let's move on.
I don't like that I make that little sound at the beginning, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. Again, easier to cut pieces when you open it up a bit. I want that out of there. Again, making sure you're selecting what you want to cut. I don't want to cut my music up. I want to cut just the video part. So right here, cut it, backspace, move the whole piece over. Let's go ahead and listen.
All right, let's move along.
Beautiful, but because I cut it, remember, I lost the transition. So I come back in here, I can even show you how I lost it right there because I cut it. So if I simply click that again, I'll have the fade in and out, and I'm ready to go. Let's go ahead and preview it.
All right, let's move along with our flyer.
Looks great. One other thing I'm going to show you, because that's going to be pretty much it. One thing you're going to have to be aware of. So I'm going to have, for some of your lessons, you're going to have 4, 5, 6, maybe 10, 15 parts. I mean, I've had that before. You're just limited with Screencastify. So when you come down here, you notice your music ends. And then, well, what do I do? Simple way to do that is just to choose the piece that is already, where the volume is already decreased. So I put this down to 15, that one section once I started the lesson. Kind of go back here and you can see, remember I faded that down to the 15%. I can just click on this part. I can hit Control C and then come all the way to the end here and hit Control V. Control V, and it should show up. There we go. I think it's there now. Yep. So here's another thing, because you don't want this to start, because remember I clipped this and I faded it. I can kind of pull this back and I can get the whole piece back in there. But what's good about this, I don't have to worry about fading it out again because it's already down at that 15%. So now when I'm playing my lesson,
vertically, what about?
Sure, it does fade out, but it starts up again. Okay, and then the rest is really, I mean, from here, it's pretty easy. It's just a matter of you taking your parts in Screencastify, and I also recommend doing this as kind of a tip. Go to my recordings and show you what I mean. It is still recording. Label them parts, because that way when you import those and you put them in, it's just going to make it a lot easier for you to kind of keep track of the, what part goes before what part. So it's just a little recommendation for you. So when you're done, you have them all in there, you have transitions, you have the volume down, it's pretty much done. This whole process actually was quite Inception-like, because I used 10 or 11 Screencastify parts for this tutorial, and then I used WeVideo. So again, it seems intimidating at first if you've done no video editing, but if you've done video editing before, you're probably going to catch right on. These tools are very approachable, and there's a lot of different things you can kind of get better at just with practice. But when you are ready, go ahead and click Finish, and you'll get a few choices. You can choose your thumbnail. I always like to also add this. That way it goes into a WeVideo folder. within your drive, and then you can share out from there, or you can publish to YouTube or whatever you want, and then just export it. It'll take a little bit to actually process, but that's it. I will link right now, this link right here will get you to the actual lesson that I put together for this. This was just the tutorial lesson, but if you wanted to see the completed lesson to this particular Google Sheets and producing a flyer, it'll be here. Good luck, have fun, and we'll talk to you later.